You are listening to the Artist Spotlight Archive. This program originally aired on November 6, 2021. Welcome to the Artist Spotlight, where we feature 3 in a row by our Artist of the Week. My name is Michael Drange, and this week we are featuring the music of singer-songwriter Avi Wisnia. He has a brand new album which was just released yesterday. We will be listening to 3 songs from the new album, but first, I would like to thank you for being part of our Artist Spotlight series.
Hi, Michael. Thank you so much for having me. It's great to be with you.
So, Avi, we have singer-songwriters from all over the world on our station. Can you tell everyone where you are from and how you would describe your music for our listeners that are not familiar with your work?
Sure. I was born in New Jersey, grew up in Pennsylvania, lived in New York for many years, and now I make my home base in Philadelphia. And there's such a great music scene in this city. I love living here. If you haven't heard my music before, I would say my music is like having a dinner party with John Legend, Sarah Bareilles, Ben Folds, and Norah Jones.
I'm here with singer-songwriter Avi Wisnia. The first song we will be playing today is the title track from his brand new album entitled Catching Leaves. What can you tell us about this track, Catching Leaves?
I wrote this song, Catching Leaves, at a park near my old apartment in South Philadelphia. And I would go to this park very often to write songs, to get inspiration, especially being out in the world in nature inspires a lot of what I do. And I remember sitting on this park bench and seeing the leaves get carried by the wind and do this dance, this sort of beautiful, chaotic dance. And I thought to myself, I want to write a song that sounds like that, like the way that this looks and feels. I want to make a song that sounds like that. And I think you can hear this in the string quartet that we use, in the meandering chords. It's a very introspective song, and it's really urging the listener to kind of just sit and be present. You know, we're rushing around all the time, and sometimes the best life happens when you just sit still.
I spent the afternoon trying to catch leaves before they could fall to the ground. Couldn't predict where they'd go in the breeze. Got tired of chasing them down. Running in circles for lightning to strike, begging the mailman to come, tempting you to get that look in your eye. When should I give up? It's the way that the world turns without reason why. The way that the world turns, there's no need to try. The way that the world turns from June to July. The way that the world turns, there's no reason why. I spent the afternoon trying to catch leaves. Sat on a bench and one fell on my knee.
We are featuring the music of Avi Wisnia in today's Artist Spotlight. I always like to find out how people got started in music. How did you get your start in music?
Oh, I've been making music since as young as I can remember. I was improvising and creating songs on the piano as soon as I was tall enough to reach the keys. I actually started taking piano lessons when I was 5 because my older brother and sister were doing it. So being the youngest, I wanted to do everything that they did, but music was always going to be a part of my life. I wasn't sure how, but really making music and performing was something I always loved to do. And my very first show was at a very small little Italian cafe in the West Village. I had just graduated college, and I kind of was studying a little bit of Brazilian music, a little bit of jazz, a little bit of classical, and I wanted to show people kind of what I had been studying. And I performed at this cafe, and then the owner came up and said, "Okay, that was good, come back next month." And the next month was my second show, and I just kept going and playing more shows and traveling more and getting outside the city, and that really urged me to keep going and doing what I was doing.
I like to find out how musicians got their identity. So first, who would you consider to be your biggest influences as a songwriter, and who do you have on your listening playlist today that wasn't there 5 years ago?
I take inspiration from so many different pockets of sound, from cool West Coast jazz to bossa nova, to classical like Chopin and Debussy. But in terms of songwriters, I just think of the classic songwriters like James Taylor, Stevie Wonder, and Carole King have really influenced me. Their songs just endure so much. They're so timeless, and they fit in so many different scenarios and can transform into so many different styles. But I think probably the greatest influence on me that I really looked up to a lot growing up was Ben Folds. The way he could have such fun with the piano and his great storytelling style. I really was influenced a lot by him. And today I've been listening to this great singer-songwriter, Becca Stevens, who's really creative and just got such a delicate touch. And if you haven't heard of her, I really encourage everybody to go check her out. An incredible musician. She does a lot of collaborations with David Crosby and Jacob Collier. And there's another songwriter here in Philadelphia area called Dennison Whitmer, whose stuff I really love. Just very mellow, very autumnal, very much like kind of in the vein of my album as well.
We are here with singer-songwriter Avi Wisnia playing some of his music. The next song, Heat Lightning, is the second song on Avi's brand new album, which was just released yesterday. Can you tell us a little something about this song and the new album, Catching Leaves, in general?
Heat Lightning is about an argument between two people who share a lot of history. And I kind of leave it very open-ended of who these two people are so that the listener can really fill in their own gaps, whether it's lovers or family members or very close friends, because there's always that tension of something unresolved that always nags at us. And it's mirrored in the song in this idea of a storm that's kind of off in the distance, moving off in the distance, that just passed but is still very much affecting the present. And I love that idea of playing with time and thinking about the past affecting the present and how we hold on to things, and sometimes the past can feel very present. And a lot of the songs on this album have to do with that, the idea of the passage of time, how we deal with the past, and how we try to control things that maybe are out of our control, and what we do with that feeling. But ultimately, I think that a lot of these songs also have a warmth to them, and there's a lot of hope that we can find a way to move forward still with all of that tension and with all the things going on in our past, that we can be present and we can see hope in the future.
Here in the attic where the floorboards creak, there's too much static, I can't hear you whisper speak. I try to stay clean but get covered in dust. Everything between us any moment could completely combust. But there's another bolt of heat lightning. When flames get high, they start igniting. Is it worth the fighting? Is it worth the pain? Gotta try to cool down without summer rain. Picking through the boxes, now a childhood gone. Tug of war with memories makes it hard to keep moving on. I feel the friction between me and you. The storm in the distance any moment is about to blow through. There's another bolt of heat lightning. When things get hot, they start igniting. Is it worth the fighting? Is it worth the pain? Gotta try to cool down in the summer. Every time I think things are gonna change, but every time it's more of the same. We've been going at it for way too long that we can't even act our age. Every time I think things are gonna change, but we just end up calling names. We can't seem to let go of yesterday. Of yesterday. We should have never come back. Should have never come back. Should have never. We should have never come back. Should have never come back. No, never come back. We should have never come back. We should have never come back. We should have never come back. 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 We should have never come back. Should have never come back. No, we should have never back. But there's another bolt of heat lightning. When things get hot, they start igniting. Is it worth the fighting? Is it worth the pain? Gotta try to cool down in the summer. But there's another bolt of heat lightning. When things get hot, they start igniting. Is it worth the fighting? Is it worth the pain? Gotta try to cool down in the summer. Try to cool down without summer.
You are listening to the Artist Spotlight, where we're featuring the music of Avi Wisnia. I'm always interested in how people go about writing songs. Do you have a typical process you use when you write a new song?
There is no typical process for me for how I write a song. I really try and let the song kind of reveal itself in the order it wants to reveal itself, whether that's lyrics first or music first or a rhythm or just a concept. Most usually, though, I am attracted to the music. So I'll have an idea for chords and kind of a song structure or a melody, but without words and without a subject matter. And usually it'll take some time for a song to reveal itself of what it's about. Or maybe I kind of have to live something that fills in the lines of what the song is about. But usually for me, a really good, strong melody and just really beautiful chords with beautiful harmony. That's what I look for most in a song.
Where can our listeners find more information about you and your music?
You can find my music, my new album, and more about my story and the story behind the album at my website, aviwisnia.com. That's AVIWISNIA. And I'm also on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook, so come find me and shout out and say hi.
Before we play our last song of the day, Come Home To, can you tell us what you are up to musically these days and a bit about Come Home To?
Catching Leaves is my first new album in 10 years, so I'm just really excited to promote the album, let people know about the music, and to get these new songs out there and just let them live in the world. So that means going back on tour and playing more live shows, especially since the pandemic started. I've really been missing being on a stage and being in a room with other people making music, so I'll be doing a lot of that with a big album release show in Philadelphia and then beyond in 2022. And I just love the different genres that are represented on this album, from jazz to pop to roots to Americana. And in fact, this next song that you're going to hear, Come Home To, really leaned into that Americana. There's beautiful mandolin solo on here, and it's really an ode to finding out what your priorities are in life, that struggle and that complicated journey we all go through to figure out what's important to us and how to make time for that, whatever that is, and finding something ultimately at the end of the day to come home to. And that's why it's called Come Home To. So I really hope you enjoy the music, and thanks so much for having me today.
It takes all my effort just to open up that door in the morning. Even as I'm leaving, I have visions of the moment when I come walking back in, waiting in the rain on the railroad platform with 100 other me's, picturing myself across the tracks where I'll come back eventually. Hey, you're the only one I wanna come home to. You're the one I'm running to see. You're the only one I wanna come home to. Your little hands reaching out for me. Life doesn't give you reason for the way it never turns out how you planned. Even when you reach the summit of the highest peak, the ground can shift where you stand. After all these years in a fine career, I thought this is where I'd wanna be. But the ground at my feet swirls around and I see I ain't doing this for me. You're the only one I wanna come home to. You're the one I'm running to see. You're the only one I wanna come home to. Your little hands reaching out for me. but we know not what we do. Everybody pretends, but we know not what we do. When you learn to speak, I know your first words will be, where were you? But you're the only one I wanna come home to. You're the one I'm running to see. You're the only one I wanna come home to. Your little hand reaching out for me. You're the only one I wanna come home to. You're the one I'm running to see. You're the only one I wanna come home to. Your little hands reaching out for me. You're the only one I wanna come home to. You're the one I'm running to see. You're the only one I wanna come home to. Your little hands reaching out for me. Hey, hey, hey.
You have been listening to the Artist Spotlight here on Southern California Singer-Songwriter Radio. Today we featured the music of singer-songwriter Avi Wisnia and his new album, Catching Leaves. This program airs throughout the day on Saturdays and can be heard as a podcast at www.podcast.socalsingersongwriterradio.com or wherever you download your favorite podcasts. Thanks for listening. You have been listening to the Artist Spotlight Archive. This program originally aired on November 6th, 2021. To listen to any of our archived Artist Spotlight shows, visit www.podcast.socalsingersongwriterradio.com or your favorite site for podcasts. Thanks for listening.